Far out in the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean, over 2,000 miles from the nearest continent, lies a sliver of land barely visible on the map. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui as it is known to its native inhabitants. This remote volcanic island is a place of haunting beauty. Windswept cliffs, rolling green plains, and the endless blue horizon stretching in every direction. But what truly arrests the soul are the silent sentinels that dominate its landscape. Colossal stone figures, known to the world as the Moai. Standing solemn and stoic, these giants gaze inland as if guarding secrets that have endured for centuries. Carved from volcanic rock, some rise over 30 feet tall and weigh more than 80 tons. Their long noses, deep-set eyes, and imposing brows seem almost human, yet their expression is otherworldly, dignified, timeless, and inscrutable. For anyone who first sets foot on Rapa Nui, the sight of these statues sparks the same questions that have captivated explorers, historians, and dreamers for generations. Who built them? And why? The answers are as complex as the mysteries themselves. Were these massive figures the work of Polynesian navigators, masterfully skilled in art and engineering despite their isolation? Or do they hint at something far stranger? A forgotten civilization with advanced technology lost to time, or perhaps even visitors from beyond our world? Over the centuries, countless theories have emerged. Some are grounded in archaeology and oral tradition. Others belong to the realm of speculation and myth. Each explanation attempts to decode the enigma of the Moai. Yet even today, many questions remain unanswered. This is the story of a remote island and its towering stone guardians, a story where history and legend intertwine. In the chapters ahead, we will journey into the heart of Rapa Nui, exploring its geography, its people, its rise and fall, and the enduring mystery of the Moai. For as the Pacific winds sweep across their weathered faces, these silent giants continue to watch, holding fast to secrets that may never be fully revealed. Easter Island is one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth, a speck of volcanic rock adrift in the vast Pacific, more than 2,300 miles from Chile and nearly 1,300 miles from the nearest populated island, Pitcairn. Known locally as Rapa Nui, this island covers just 63 square miles, yet its cultural footprint is immense. Its isolation is staggering. To reach Easter Island even today is a feat of endurance. Imagine what it must have been like 1,000 years ago, when the first settlers arrived in wooden canoes after navigating thousands of miles of open ocean with nothing but the stars to guide them. This very remoteness is the root of the Moai mystery. How could a small, resource-limited society create nearly 900 massive stone statues, some weighing more than a fully loaded 737 jetliner? The island itself is rugged and unforgiving. Formed by 3 extinct volcanoes, Teravaca, Poike, and Rano Kau, it boasts rolling hills and volcanic craters rather than fertile plains. Its soil is thin and rocky, making agriculture difficult. There were no large mammals, no metals, and no trees of significant size remaining when Europeans first arrived in the early 18th century. The people of Rapa Nui had only stone tools and rope, at least according to conventional understanding. The first Europeans to set eyes on the island were Dutch explorers under Jacob Roggeveen, who landed on Easter Sunday, 1722, giving the island its modern name. Their accounts describe a landscape dotted with enormous statues, some standing proudly on stone platforms called ahu, others toppled and broken. To these Europeans, the sight was bewildering. How had such colossal monuments been erected on such a barren, lonely island? This sense of astonishment has never faded. Even now, when satellite images and high-tech tools allow us to map every inch of the planet, Easter Island retains its aura of mystery. It is this paradox, an advanced feat of engineering in one of the most isolated corners of the world, that fuels the enduring fascination with the Moai. They are not merely relics. They are riddles carved in stone, silent yet eloquent, daring us to uncover their story. The Moai of Easter Island are unlike any other statues on Earth. Towering stone figures with elongated heads, prominent brows, and deep-set eyes, they seem to embody both human likeness and divine mystery. Most Moai range from 13 to 30 feet in height, though the largest ever erected, known as Paro, stood at an astonishing 33 feet and weighed around 82 tons. An even larger Moai, never completed and still attached to the rock at the quarry, measures 69 feet and would have weighed an estimated 270 tons, a feat so monumental it seems almost beyond imagination. In total, archaeologists have documented 887 Moai statues scattered across the island. Many stand on stone ceremonial platforms called ahu, arranged to face inland toward the villages, as if watching over the people. Others lie half buried in volcanic soil, their torsos hidden beneath centuries of erosion, giving the eerie illusion of giant stone heads emerging from the earth. The placement of the Moai was deliberate and symbolic. They were guardians of their clans, protectors channeling spiritual power. The majority of these statues were carved from volcanic tuff, a relatively soft stone found in abundance at Rano Raraku, the island's main quarry. This crater served as the heart of Moai production. Today, its slopes remain littered with unfinished figures, some partially detached from the bedrock, others abandoned mid-carving. These incomplete works provide crucial insight into the construction process, revealing the techniques and tools used by the ancient Rapa Nui artisans. Despite lacking metal tools, the builders skillfully shaped the Moai using basalt stone picks. Carving a single statue is believed to have taken a team of workers many months, perhaps even a year, depending on its size. Once completed, the statue was transported somehow across rugged terrain to its designated ahu. Here, it would be raised upright and crowned with a pukao, a cylindrical topknot of red scoria stone, believed to represent hair or headdresses. But what was the purpose of these immense figures? Archaeological evidence and Rapa Nui oral traditions suggest that the Moai were more than mere sculptures. They were sacred embodiments of deified ancestors. The Rapa Nui believed in mana, a spiritual force present in powerful leaders and objects. The Moai were constructed to harness this mana, ensuring fertility, protection, and prosperity for their clans. In essence, these statues were not idols. They were guardians, intermediaries between the living and the ancestral spirits. And yet, the greatest mystery remains. How did a society with limited resources and no advanced technology carve, transport, and erect nearly 900 statues, some weighing more than 80 tons? This question leads us to the next chapter of our investigation. The people who accomplished this seemingly impossible feat. To understand the Moai, we must first understand the people who created them, the Rapa Nui. According to mainstream archaeology, the island's first settlers arrived around 1200 AD, during the Great Age of Polynesian exploration. These were not ordinary sailors. They were master navigators who crossed thousands of miles of open ocean in double-hulled canoes, guided by the stars, ocean currents, and the flight of birds. Their achievements rival the greatest feats of human exploration. Long before the age of compasses and maps, they found and colonized the most remote island on Earth. Upon arrival, the Polynesians brought with them essential crops like sweet potatoes, taro, and bananas, as well as domesticated chickens. They adapted to the island's volcanic soil, carving out a life in a harsh and isolated environment. Over time, their society grew in complexity, developing a system of chiefdoms, each clan controlling a portion of the island. These chiefs held both political and spiritual authority, claiming to possess mana, a sacred power inherited from their ancestors. The Moai were deeply tied to this concept of mana. They were not mere decorations, but monumental representations of ancestral chiefs, erected to watch over the living and ensure the flow of spiritual power from the past to the present. In this way, each Moai symbolized prestige, lineage, and divine protection. The more Moai a clan could build, and the larger they were, the greater the display of status and spiritual potency. This competitive spirit likely fueled the extraordinary scale of statue building on Rapa Nui. Archaeologists believe that the peak of Moai construction occurred between 1400 and 1600 AD, during a time of relative abundance. The Rapa Nui were not primitive people as early European accounts suggested. They were skilled engineers, stone carvers, and organizers. Evidence of sophisticated quarrying techniques, road systems for transport, and ceremonial platforms all point to a society capable of monumental achievements despite severe resource limitations. Oral traditions passed down through generations tell of legendary chiefs and master carvers who supervised Moai production. The work was communal, requiring collaboration across clans. Hundreds of workers may have participated in the carving and transport of each statue. This indicates a highly structured society with division of labor, planning, and religious motivation. Yet, this grand endeavor came at a cost. The construction of hundreds of statues required enormous resources, particularly timber for tools, sledges, and possibly rollers. Over time, this strain would lead to environmental decline, a factor we will explore later. For now, it is clear that the builders of the Moai were not an unknown race, nor aliens, but Polynesian voyagers who forged a unique civilization against all odds. Their legacy endures in the towering figures that still gaze across Rapa Nui's windswept plains, a silent testament to the ingenuity, spirituality, and ambition of the Rapa Nui people. When we gaze upon the towering Moai of Easter Island, one question looms larger than the statues themselves. How were they built, and how were they moved? For centuries, these questions baffled explorers and scholars alike. Without wheels, without metal tools, without draft animals, how could an isolated island society carve and transport nearly 900 stone colossi, some weighing over 80 tons? The answers lie in a blend of ingenuity, experimentation, and cultural determination. The heart of Moai construction was Rano Raraku, a volcanic crater that served as the island's main quarry. Here, the volcanic tuff, a compressed ash that was soft enough to carve yet durable, provided the raw material for the statues. Workers used basalt picks, called toki, painstakingly chipping away at the rock to shape the figures. Carving began with the front of the statue, still attached to the bedrock. Once the facial features and torso were shaped, the rear was undercut, freeing the statue. This process could take months or even years, depending on size and manpower. Tools found at the site show signs of heavy wear, indicating the immense effort involved. If carving the Moai was impressive, moving them was nothing short of miraculous. Some statues had to travel up to 11 miles from the quarry to their ceremonial platforms. How could this be done without modern machinery? Over the years, several theories emerged. Log rollers theory. Early researchers proposed that the Rapa Nui used tree trunks as rollers to move the statues horizontally. While plausible, this theory has a major flaw. By the time Europeans arrived, the island was virtually treeless. Deforestation on such a scale seems unlikely to have occurred solely for transport. Sledges and ropes theory. Another hypothesis suggests that the statues were laid on wooden sledges and dragged over prepared paths using ropes. Experiments show this method is possible, but it would require enormous amounts of timber and manpower. The walking theory. In recent years, a revolutionary idea has gained traction. The Moai were walked upright to their destinations. By tying ropes to the head and base, teams on either side could rock the statue back and forth in a controlled manner, allowing it to walk forward. This theory aligns with Rapa Nui oral traditions, which speak of statues walking with the help of mana, the spiritual power of the ancestors. In 2012, archaeologists Terry Hunt and Carl Lipo successfully tested this method on a replica statue. With a crew of just 18 people, they moved a 10-foot, 5-ton Moai replica several hundred feet in less than an hour. Scaling this up to 30-foot giants would be a monumental challenge, but it proves that the concept is plausible. Estimates suggest that carving a single Moai required a team of 10 to 15 workers for up to a year. Transporting it may have involved hundreds of people, coordinated with ropes, leverage, and sheer determination. At the height of statue construction, the population of Rapa Nui may have numbered between 7,000 and 10,000, meaning a significant portion of the community participated in these projects. Moving an 80-ton stone figure across uneven volcanic terrain, with no wheels or beasts of burden, remains one of the greatest feats of prehistoric engineering. It required not only physical strength, but also organization, cooperation, and a cultural drive so strong that people were willing to invest generations in the endeavor. Yet this very ambition may have sown the seeds of disaster, a tragedy that would transform Rapa Nui forever. For centuries, the Rapa Nui thrived in their isolation, erecting ever larger Moai as symbols of power and devotion. But behind the grandeur of these monuments lay a growing ecological crisis. Early theorists, like Jared Diamond, argued that the Rapa Nui exhausted their natural resources in their quest to build Moai. To transport the statues, they needed ropes and wooden sledges, requiring vast quantities of timber. Gradually, the island's towering palm trees disappeared. Without trees, the soil eroded, crops failed, and canoes for fishing could no longer be built. This led to famine, social upheaval, and ultimately, the collapse of the statue-building culture. Recent research suggests the story is more nuanced. Rats introduced by settlers may have eaten palm seeds, accelerating deforestation. Whatever the cause, by the 17th century, Rapa Nui was a barren landscape, its people struggling to survive. As resources dwindled, competition between clans turned violent. Oral histories speak of wars, cannibalism, and the toppling of Moai, a deliberate act to strip rivals of their spiritual power. The once proud monuments were cast down, their guardianship over the land ending in silent ruin. In this desperate era, a new belief system emerged. The Birdman cult, centered around the annual competition to retrieve the first sooty tern egg from an offshore islet. Victory bestowed power and prestige, replacing the Moai as symbols of authority. When Europeans arrived in 1722, they encountered a society already in decline. But contact brought new horrors. Disease, slave raids, and forced labor decimated the population. By the late 19th century, only about 110 Rapa Nui people remained, and much of their cultural memory had vanished. The Moai, once imbued with mana and reverence, now lay scattered and broken, a haunting testament to a civilization that rose to greatness and fell to ruin. Yet the story of Rapa Nui is not one of despair alone. Against impossible odds, the descendants of those ancient carvers endure, keeping alive their language, traditions, and pride. The Moai remain their silent allies, witnesses to resilience as much as tragedy. Few archaeological mysteries have inspired as many wild theories as the Moai of Easter Island. While mainstream science attributes these monumental statues to the Rapa Nui people, alternative explanations persist, ranging from lost civilizations to extraterrestrial architects. Perhaps the most famous fringe theory is that the Moai were created with the help of extraterrestrials. Popularized by Eric von Daniken in his 1968 bestseller Chariots of the Gods, this idea suggests that the statue's immense size and remote location imply technology beyond human capability at the time. The theory proposes that aliens not only visited Easter Island but influenced its culture, leaving behind the Moai as evidence of their presence. However, archaeologists have debunked this notion repeatedly. Experimental archaeology demonstrates that the Moai could be carved and moved using stone tools, ropes, and coordinated human labor. There is no physical evidence, such as advanced materials or anomalous artifacts, to support the alien claim. Still, the allure of the unknown keeps this theory alive in popular media and science fiction. Another enduring myth posits that Easter Island is a remnant of a vanished continent, such as Lemuria or Mu, imagined as an advanced prehistoric civilization. According to this theory, the Moai were relics of a sophisticated culture that vanished beneath the ocean. This idea flourished in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, fueled by speculative writers who linked Easter Island to Atlantis-like legends. Yet geological and archaeological evidence clearly shows that Rapa Nui has never been part of a sunken continent. Its volcanic origins and relatively young geological age, about 750,000 years, rule out such possibilities. While fringe theories capture global imagination, Rapa Nui's own legends are equally compelling. According to oral tradition, the island's first settlers arrived under the leadership of Hotu Matua, a Polynesian chief who guided his people to the isolated island after fleeing a distant homeland. The Moai, in this narrative, were created to honor revered ancestors and to safeguard the community with spiritual power. These stories underscore a truth often overshadowed by myths. The Rapa Nui were extraordinary navigators and builders, not passive recipients of alien or lost world intervention. The persistence of alternative theories reflects a broader fascination with mystery. The sheer scale of the Moai, their isolation, and the lack of written records invite speculation. Humans are drawn to the enigmatic, and the idea of alien engineers or lost continents adds drama to a story already rich with intrigue. But science provides a more remarkable truth. The Moai were human achievements, born not of advanced technology or cosmic visitors, but of determination, artistry, and cultural devotion. Today, the Moai stand not only as archaeological treasures, but as emblems of cultural identity. For the Rapa Nui people, these statues are more than stone. They are ancestral guardians, sacred links to a proud past. In recent decades, efforts to revive traditional language, dance, and carving have taken root, restoring cultural pride after centuries of disruption. In 1995, UNESCO declared Easter Island a World Heritage Site, recognizing the need to protect its fragile heritage. Preservation, however, is a race against time. The statues suffer from erosion, climate change, and the sheer pressure of tourism. Each year, thousands of visitors flock to Rapa Nui to marvel at the Moai, bringing vital income but also raising concerns about sustainability. Local leaders and global organizations now work together to strike a delicate balance, safeguarding the island's heritage while supporting its community. Projects include restoring fallen Moai, managing tourist access, and promoting cultural education. These efforts ensure that the story of Rapa Nui remains vibrant, not merely a relic of the past. For the Polynesian world, the Moai symbolize resilience, a reminder that even in the most isolated corner of the planet, human creativity can flourish. Across windswept plains and volcanic slopes, the Moai of Easter Island stand in silence, guardians of an enduring mystery. We now know much about their origins, carved by the Rapa Nui from volcanic stone, transported with ingenuity and determination, and erected as sacred symbols of ancestral power. These were not works of aliens or lost civilizations, but of a society that achieved greatness against staggering odds. And yet, questions linger. Why did the Rapa Nui invest so much in these monuments? What drove them to risk ecological ruin for the sake of stone sentinels? These uncertainties remind us that history is never fully written. It whispers through ruins, waiting for us to listen. The Moai endure as a testament to the boundless ambition and spiritual depth of the human spirit. They speak of devotion, rivalry, and resilience. And though their makers are gone, the statues remain, gazing inland, their solemn faces etched against the sky. As the Pacific winds sweep across this lonely island, the giants watch still, silent, immovable, eternal. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Not who built them, but why they continue to capture our imagination century after century.